It was a lot of power harassment. I genuinely felt like I was never going to stop working. I speak no Japanese. I just sold my fucking car, man, and I moved away from my family and everything. I
Yeah.
had no idea that I was walking in a fucking landmine. Lit
And
a
he
fuse, man.
flipped out.
He's like, "What are you, fucking stupid? You can't speak frankly here."
And honestly, even if you ask, no one really gives you the full picture. Are you from Florida? Because I saw you graduated from Florida University, right?
Yeah. I'm from a bit of all over in the States. Because my parents were Navy, both of them.
Oh,
But I would say for the most part, yeah, from Florida. I was born in
from Florida.
Maryland, but predominantly raised in Florida, I guess. Yeah.
I see. And if you would introduce yourself to our audience and people who are interested in today's podcast, how would you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So again, my name's Elder. Thank you very much, Akram, for the introduction. So I'm 25. I graduated like what you said from the University of Florida with a bachelor's in finance and a master's in international finance. Since graduating, I've worked at a number of different startup companies in various vice president roles. And more recently, I have launched my own venture here in Tokyo. Um, did I was the co-founder and co-CEO of Gallows for a year and 3 months. That venture ended, and now I'm on to a brand new project, brand new startup called Toronto AI. And at Toronto, I'm the CEO again, and we are basically creating Japan's first AI real estate brokerage company, specifically targeting leasing process right now in Tokyo for people aged 20 to 29. We're focused on Japanese people at the moment because there's just a ton more Japanese people than there are foreigners, right? So it's a higher
Yeah,
hit rate.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. That's what I'm up to.
I see. Your co-founder at Gallows was Alejandro, right?
Yeah, that's right. Alejandro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you guys, like, first of all, how did you end up working together and starting this project together, creating Gallows?
Yeah.
And then that was the most beautiful thing. Like when I saw your post on LinkedIn and Alejandro too, like you guys just kind of decided to, what you see yourself doing is different. So can you take us through the whole thing again, please?
Yeah. I mean, so kind of have to start with the name, Gallows, right?
Yeah.
Why Gallows? It's such a provocative and kind of death inspiring. It's got a ton of negative connotations.
Yeah.
But for Alejandro and I, that's where we met, right?
Mm.
That's where we formed our bond of friendship and co-foundership. We were both working for this Japanese startup company. I'll put air quotes around startup because it's been around for 13 years and has like 100 people working there, and it's like by
Yeah. And
Japanese standards it's a start. Like, if the standard of what it means to be a business is like 128 years old, you know what I'm saying? Because
yeah, it's
Japanese businesses are that
Japanese
old.
standards are like, yeah, very very different.
Yeah. Then I guess 13 years constitutes
Yeah.
a startup. But,
Startup, I guess.
yeah. So anyways,
Mm.
we met working there, and it was pretty gruesome, right? Or grueling, however you might say that. We spent, it was a lot of power harassment, and we spent a ton of time working there. I genuinely felt like I was never going to stop working, right? With what we were doing, and there was nothing really innovative or revolutionary about what it was, right? So they claimed to be a startup, but there was very little innovation. They were basically just having us write emails all day instead of automating that. And they were having, I programmed a bit in that role. But every time, because the manager didn't know anything about programming, right? He would just roll back all of what I would implement, arbitrarily for no reason.
Yeah.
My first week working there, they sorry, this is a bit of a tangent with Alejandro, but just to give you context about how bad it was and why we call it the Gallows.
No, please go. Please go.
Right.
This is the fun stuff.
Yeah, right, right. So
Yeah.
the first week that I was working there, I think they were really excited to have like a white guy, right? Like an American white guy. They made an announcement. Alejandro told me later that they made
Yeah.
an announcement in Asakai, which is like morning meeting where
Yeah.
everybody in the company gathers. They were like,
We're
"We
bringing a
finally
white guy.
hired, yeah, a white guy," and everybody like stood up and cheered and they're like, "Wow, diversity and inclusion!" Like,
Oh.
yeah, yeah, you get it. I could see the
Uh,
look on your face. You
yeah, I
get it.
mean, I work for a Japanese company too, and these kind of things. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
yeah. Let's not get into that, but I fully understand what you're saying.
Right. So,
Yeah,
within the first week, needless to say, my
Mm.
American ass. Is it okay if I curse on this podcast, or
Please
would you
do.
prefer? Okay. Okay. So, my American ass, was making so many assertions about the place, and I
Mm.
wasn't. To be fair, I wasn't abiding by the 90-day rule, which is like when you join a new company as like a leader, shut your mouth and just like learn about the place for 90 days.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a bit on me, right? For getting so excited, but I was used to fast-paced startups, right? Like I
Mm.
had participated in before this, it was startup led by SpaceX and NASA and defense
Mm.
contract, defense engineers. So Silicon Valley style,
Can
thought
I
processes and
interrupt you over
speed.
there a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
Can I interrupt you a little bit?
sure.
I don't want to cut your train of thoughts, but how did you why did you move from the States, probably from all of these startup projects, and I guess that's where you should be if you're
Right.
especially I think Silicon Valley, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
where the startups at, right? Like, and you decide to move to Japan, like what happened there?
Um, you know, there's a number of things. It's so hard to articulate it, but I feel like I just went with my gut, to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
saw I saw, a really interesting opportunity in pushing myself to do something really hard, coming to Japan, having to
Mm-hmm.
learn Japanese, getting to explore the world while I was still young,
Yeah, yeah.
um, experiencing another culture. And maybe it really was I had this degree of complacency in America, right? I'm from
Oh,
like
oh.
a middle class family. So,
Mm.
I'm never like gonna be super successful if I just follow my father's footsteps, but I'll never be hurting or struggling or anything, right?
Mhm.
I can work 10 hours a day for 5 days, really not that much, a week, and
Mhm.
come home and watch movies and have a decent life, right? But
Mm.
for me, um and I was working with those startup companies, but I wasn't a founder, right? And there was something that
Mm.
was keeping me from being a
I see.
founder, and it was the complacency, it was the comfort. And so I knew that I had to get rid of all of those elements of comfort if I ever wanted a real shot at becoming the type of man that I want to be. And one way to do that was to pick my shit up and move all the way over into a country. I couldn't afford Silicon Valley at the time, right? So it was the quickest opportunity that I could put together was coming out here for this startup company. Um, Looking back on it,
Mhm.
maybe there was a reason why it was so quick, the process of them hiring me. Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah. Sorry that I cut your
no, no,
train
no,
of
no.
thoughts, but please
So
do
yeah, back
continue.
back to the gallows, right?
Back to the
Alejandro and I,
gallows. Yes.
yeah, the first week I got cursed out by the CEO for sharing my opinions about how we might be able to improve the website. I recommended that we might be able to bring in a
Did
design
you just say
agency.
cursed out?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it was a one-on-one or like a so I speak no Japanese. I just sold my fucking car, man, and I moved away from my family and everything,
Yeah.
to support this founder's dream. And I've done
Yeah.
this once before in the States. Like I've given up everything to help
Mm.
out founders. And so, it was
Yeah.
something at that time that I was like, I know what loyalty means. I know how to do that. And I'm in
Yeah.
the room with the guy, and he's like, I'm so interested in your perspectives. Like, what are you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. And he's asking me all these questions. I had no idea that I was walking in a fucking landmine, a field of mines, dude. Like, no
Yeah.
one told me, you can't speak frankly here. I knew nothing about
Yeah.
Keigo or humble speech, you know?
And honestly, even if you ask, no one really gives you the full picture.
That's right.
right?
That's right.
It's like,
So,
especially in Japan. I don't know about other countries to be honest, but in
right, right.
Japan, if it's a university, if it's a company, I don't know. If you ask, no one's gonna tell you run.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I I I
yeah,
I couldn't fathom it, you know? Like in
yeah.
America, people just be like, "Get the fuck away from here, dude. This is not a," you know? Um
Yeah,
but so I'm sitting in this meeting room with this Shacho, like the CEO, the founder of this startup company, and to the
yeah.
left of me is my manager, and he's supposed to be bilingual, and he's supposed to be helping translate nuance and context and everything. My
Keyword is
fuck.
supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was quiet that whole fucking meeting.
Yeah,
So yeah, so he didn't help me at all, and
yeah.
I don't know what happened, but after an hour of everything going like swimmingly, it was perfect. It was so good. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm here. I'm doing real world cross border international
Yeah,
business. This is the
yeah,
beginning of my founding story.
yeah,
This awesome crescendo of this Shacho being like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. This is awesome. This is awesome.
yeah.
I mentioned, he's like, what do you think about the website? We're gonna have to improve the website. And I was like, well, we could outsource, the website right now because we don't have any software. We don't have enough software development talent in house, and it's just a Wix web page. So we can maybe contract with a company to help out with that in the short term. And lit
And
a
he
fuse, man.
flipped out.
He's like, "What are you fucking stupid?" And it was like a punch to the gut. It was like, I just quit my job. I gave up like a portion of my vesting schedule to be here as quickly as I'm here right now. From my last company.
Damn.
My family's gone, and he sits there for 10 minutes, and he's like, I thought I was hiring somebody who had helped build startup companies in America, but you just recommended to outsource our website. Are you like stupid? Are you just an idiot? Are you a lying idiot? Did you just lie to me to get here? Like why would you even recommend that? And he just laid into me, right? And for those of you who are listening and
Damn.
don't know much about software development or anything like that, it is a perfectly reasonable suggestion to outsource some software development. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah,
reasonable thing.
yeah.
Um,
Especially if you don't have enough people working on it in the team, in the
there were
company, right?
0 technical people in the whole company. They didn't have any engineers. So it was like, what the fuck are you talking about,
And
man?
and he was okay. Okay, that was
Yeah.
great,
So
great guy
that's
apparently. Yeah.
that's the first week, and
Oh man.
that's how me and Alejandro met, because we were the only 2 foreigners in that whole group of people. It was
Wow.
it was so much so that we represented the internationality of the company. They had us do so much social media content where they're like, look, there's a white person and a Mexican guy. And anytime they were actively trying to hire like directors
Dear
and shit,
God. Wow.
right? Like
Yeah.
senior level people, and they
Yeah.
would walk them right past like our desks, and they would sit there and they would just stand for 10 minutes, and I
Show
couldn't speak
off.
enough Japanese at the time, but I swear to God, they were like, look at our foreigners, look at our little white monkey and our little Mexican man.
By the way, that happens a lot everywhere.
Mm,
Like especially in companies or institutes that do not have many international people. They would have 1 or 2. And
right,
then look at our international whatever, like students or employees or whatever.
right,
But okay, that was the first week.
yeah.
then, then
So
that's a hell of a first week, by the way. Yeah.
I'm jet lagged. They didn't give me a
Yeah.
break to get. First of all, yeah, like it was the same day that I landed. From 28 hours of travel, I worked a 13-hour shift, and then I ran it back the next day. Another, like, I think it must have been a 16-hour shift. I worked from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. most days, right in the beginning, right?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and Alejandro had been there all by himself, for 6 months
Be-
before I came.
Before you joined.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we got in, and
Wow, kudos for you guys for, how long did you guys stick there? Like how long
he was
did
there
you
for a
kind
year
of
and a half. I have no idea how he did that. I got in my first 3 months. I was like, I really tried hard, because I was like, I don't know much about Japan. Maybe it's a cultural thing. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
And at the 3 month point, after working my ass off and really giving my all to it, I was like, yeah, no, maybe it isn't. Yeah,
That's not
no.
it. That's not it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up working there for 6 months, and 3 months was me actually working, and 3 months was me trying to figure out how to stop working there, if I was to be honest. So,
Yeah,
um, but he had been there for a while. Yeah.
I see.
So
And how did you take the step of, okay, we're quitting, we're starting our own thing?
over time, just like this was back in 2023, right? So like the same time period that ChatGPT had made its like bigger announcement, and
Mm-hmm.
there was getting more and more adoption, and I saw like the writing on the wall, how valuable the technology was, and what was going on with it in the States, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I convinced Alejandro that he was being mistreated at the company because he felt like he needed to learn how to work hard, and that's why he was there, right? And I was like, dude, no, no, no. They're treating us. This isn't working hard. This is
This
not.
is
I've
this
I've
is
worked hard before.
yeah.
I've got a master's degree, dude. I know what working hard, looks
Yeah.
like, dude. And it's not this. This is borderline like zombieism. Like um.
Yeah.
So I convinced him to take our lunch break. Like they wouldn't let us take lunch breaks. We were supposed to go to the convene and come back and sit down and eat and shit. So I was like,
What
fuck
what
that. It's
what
in our
what do you mean?
contract.
What do you mean? Like, how come they don't allow you to take lunch breaks?
It's like social pressure of Japan, right? Like technically, from a technical legal perspective at the company, yeah, it
Yeah.
was okay,
Yeah.
but no one
No one did
took a
it.
lunch break. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when I left the office, like the shame and guilt and kind of fear of judgment, I never
Yeah.
experienced anything like it. The phenomena in
Mm.
America, like we don't do that to people.
Yeah. I don't.
So
Yeah. It's. Yeah. Please go on. Yeah.
yeah, I'm talking a shit ton. So please continue to interrupt.
No. No. No.
It's good.
It's fine. Like this is what the podcast is about. So. Let me give you. I don't know if
Sure,
you've seen in some
please.
episodes, but this podcast it started first by. So I did my PhD in Japan right here,
Right.
and man,
Kudos to you.
like it's insane.
Yeah.
Like there's no orientation. The language barrier is insane. You're supposed to be researching. You're supposed to have all the help that you can get to do anything. I know PhD is basically a lone wolf path, right?
Right.
But you need all the help you can get,
Yeah.
So there's also like a ton of things that you don't know. Careers after you graduate also are basically right now basically non-existent because academic positions are disappearing, and the industry has certain standards or would require you to have certain skills in order to hire you as a PhD, because PhD graduates are not that lucrative, right? Because you're the golden word always, like you're overqualified, right?
Right.
So I was like, this is shit. Like you think you think you're doing a great thing by doing PhD, and then you're stuck. I was like, let me start this podcast and just try to tell people, or like to let people know what they're about to experience when they join PhDs. And then I started inviting PhD graduates to just tell people about their experiences, advice that they can give, tips, before joining a PhD program, then while you're in PhD, and after graduating your PhD. I did that for a while, and then I started thinking about other careers, and I started interviewing people from all sorts of life about their jobs and about their careers, because PhD is a career thing, and jobs, other jobs are also, everyone is interested in their own career, and there's always hills and mountains for every career path that you're in, right?
Right.
So this is the whole thing. So what you're talking about is exactly the point of this podcast, and
Gotcha.
venturing into some woods that you never kind of expected it to be in your first week. To have this experience with your CEO is kind of insane. So thank you first of all for sharing this, and please go on. Like this is exactly the point of the podcast.
Okay, well, thank you very much. But whatchamacallit, yeah, so coming back to it,
Mm,
over time, I
mm,
convinced Alejandro to take our lunch breaks with us, right? Like you said,
yeah.
he had never done it before. We had always just made a short 2-minute walk to the conveni,
Okay.
grabbed like some microwavable dish, and then brought it back and ate it as quickly as possible at our desk, right? To continue working. Um, After 3 months, the first 3 months while I was working there, I was like, I mean, these people all smile, and they all seem friendly, and they're all interacting with me, and no
Yeah.
no one seems to be judging me. I don't know if they really were or not, right?
Mm,
They seem genuinely kind people, right?
mm, mm,
And maybe everybody was, some of them I'm still friends with to this day,
mm,
but after 3 months of like watching and kind of observing and working really hard at that
mm,
inflection point, I was like, I realized that everybody in the office, all of these 20 something year olds with these supposedly bright futures, all had one thing in common. They all looked like beaten dogs, like beaten dogs. And I was like, at that moment in time when I realized that, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be
yeah.
a beaten dog.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So, I needed help to start up a business. I knew I couldn't do it myself in Japan at the beginning. I didn't know any Japanese or anything about the culture. And Alejandro had lived here for 5 years at that point, and he spoke fluent Japanese and Chinese and every other language you could think of.
Mm, yeah.
He's a bit older than me, and so I was like, dude, let's
Let's get out of here.
squishy it. Like over time, I
Yeah.
kept every chipping
Yeah.
away at him. I'm like, hey man, what do you think about doing something crazy like quitting and starting a business together? Like, how does that feel? And he's like, we can't do that. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, the visa's a problem. I'm like, let's figure it out then. And so we had an operation like two
Mm-hmm.
weeks before we both ended up quitting.
Yeah.
It was what did we call it? I forget what I called it. I call everything that I do like operations just to make it fun.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was like Operation Escape the Gallows or something like that, right?
Escape the gallows. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I lied to everybody. There was like an event that was happening with lots of like foreign founders and stuff
Mm-hmm.
over at like Startup Cafe. I don't know if you're familiar with Startup Cafe.
I've
If not,
definitely heard the name before.
okay, yeah, look it up for sure. It's basically like a startup cafe in Tokyo.
Mm, mm,
And so there were lots of people there, and I was like, okay, I have to get out of work today,
mm,
and I have to go there and I have to ask this really important question, which is
mm,
this visa question, right?
mm,
I was like, I gotta figure this shit out because Alejandro needs me to figure it out. I need to figure it out. We got to get this solved so we can get the fuck out of this business.
mm.
So I lied to my boss. I was like, I've got a family thing going on. I don't want to talk about it. Don't ask me. I have to go home now. And I just fucking left. I didn't ask for permission. I was like,
Mm.
fuck you. What are you going to fire me? I want to quit. So like, you know,
Win-win.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, make my life easier.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize how far it was. And so I ended up biking my ass off like an hour away, from the office.
Mm.
Um, and I get out to this event and I'm networking with all these founders, sweaty and a mess. Um, and they were doing like this panel discussion. And I went up there. I was first fucking question. I was like, hey guys, how do you navigate? I remember I said something like, I want to start up a business. I'm working on creating like an AI, consultancy agency or something like that.
Mm.
And, what's holding me back right now is I don't know how to, navigate the visa process. And I remember it clear as day. There were like 7 white guys up on
Mm.
that freaking panel, and all of them, right? Like one guy was like, "Oh, well, yeah, don't quit your job. Just build the business while you're still working," which by the way is illegal. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You need to change the
Yeah.
visa.
This
Yeah.
is the thing in Japan. Like, it's insane. Like, you can't even do that. You cannot escape working for a company to start your own business by starting the business first, because it's
Yeah.
illegal to start the business while you're still working for another company.
That's right.
It's a catch 22.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyways, so how did you move on past that part? But past the visa, like how did you
So
figure it out?
yeah, yeah. The founders said, don't quit your job was the biggest thing. And then
Mm.
one guy was like, or you could just get married, ha 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 ha. And then everybody else on the panel laughed, right? They're like, yeah, just get a marriage
Don't tell
visa.
me you got married.
No, fuck no. I'm
Like,
no. I listen. I'm not gonna
like,
be anybody's dog, dude. I literally said
right?
that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell? Like, what kind of advice was that?
Yeah, it's terrible advice. Terrible advice. Do
Yeah,
not marry for a visa. Do not bind yourself to another
yeah,
human being. You
just
know,
for a visa. Yeah, it doesn't like that's a horrible idea.
I mean, I respect myself too much to do that. You know what I'm saying? I have too much love and compassion. I will never degrade the value of what it means to be in a union with me. I'm not even a religious person, right? But I
Yeah.
would never degrade the value of what I place on that romantical bond for
Mm,
my current and or future partners to have it,
mm.
be so transactional for myself, right?
I
Um,
mean, I don't know. Great,
yeah,
you know.
cheers. Yeah, yeah.
Cheers, honestly. Great.
So, they were useless, right? And like, just as all hope had been lost,
Yeah.
um, after the event, there was some networking, and there
Mm,
was a brilliant woman, like this
mm,
tall black
mm,
Amazonian lady, like just a
mm.
beautiful, beautiful woman from Tennessee, USA.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I asked her, like, she was like a venture capitalist, and I went up to her and I asked her, I was like, hey, those guys said all of that stuff. I saw your face when they were saying everything, and it didn't seem like you fully agreed with them. Do you have any advice for me? And she was like, she gave me like 3 minutes of kind of like blank platitudes, and, like didn't really say anything. And, I think she could tell on my face that I'd heard everything that she had already said before, and,
Yeah.
like it wasn't connecting.
Mm.
And so she sighed. She was like, fine, do you really want to know how to just make it work? How I think you just need to make it work. And I was like, yeah, woman, like that's why I came up to you. I mean, you're
Yeah.
stunningly gorgeous, but like, like
Yeah.
you're too tall for me probably. Like my head's like
Yeah.
I'm a short guy, so I'm like looking up at
Yeah.
the ceiling at her.
Uh,
And she just looked at me and she's like, honestly, you just have to finesse it, right?
Vanessa.
That's it. Just have to figure out a way to stay that's legal and you're not breaking any rules, and don't be an idiot about it. She's like, that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. And I was like, with that, right?
Mm,
Without really understanding a concrete way to move forward, without a real plan or anything like that, just the advice of a stranger to finesse the shit, right? I went back
mm,
to Alejandro and I was like, dude, we just have to fucking quit this business and figure it the fuck out. Visa be damned. Let's build the plane while we're falling or build the parachute while we're
mm,
falling from the plane. That's the best way to do it. And
mm.
so, and by the way, it's not the best way to do it. We're just the
Yeah,
type of people that
obviously,
it's the
yeah,
best.
but like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were
yeah,
like in such, excuse me for saying it, such deep shit
yeah,
in that
yeah,
company
yeah.
that you just had to do it, right?
Right, right. And
Yeah.
so, I 2 weeks later, I finally got my bank account. They finally paid me. They hadn't paid me for like 6 months of work that I had
What
been
are
doing
you
there. But
talking about? How did you
yeah,
live?
yeah, just off of my savings and stuff at that point in time.
They didn't pay you for 6 months?
Yeah,
Dude, what the hell? Like, where were you working?
that's
Like,
right. That's right.
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But once I finally got the check and it hit my account the next day, Alejandro and I went to McDonald's for lunch. And on that, I got like a napkin from McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I wrote, this is my official 2 weeks notice for quitting
Oh,
on that fucking McDonald's napkin. I
yeah.
honkoed it, which for those of you who don't know, a honko is like an official personal signature. And it was the
Yeah.
first real use of my honko.
Was to quit.
Outside of like my banking shit. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna honko this shit so he knows I'm serious. And I was I was shitting bricks. I was so fucking nervous to quit, right?
Mm,
Like the environment was just like fuck, you
mm,
know.
mm,
But I went in. I talked to the CEO one on one, and I was like, hey, it's my 2 weeks. I'm gonna quit. And he's
mm,
like, oh well, you know, I'm gonna have to talk about over with Kichi and your boss, and maybe it'll take 2 to 3 months actually. Maybe it won't be 2 weeks. And
No.
I mean, we could talk about it, but that's my 2 weeks. Legally, that's all I have to give in this country. So, you
Yeah.
guys have not been good to me. And, you know, I emailed him the next day after my run. And I was like, actually, we're not even going to talk about it. Those are my 2 weeks. I'm quitting. You're not even going to have a conversation with me about this. Right.
Mm.
Um, and so I quit. And Alejandro followed me shortly thereafter. And we got started with building an AI consultancy company. I mean, at first we thought we were going to build like a proper startup, right?
Mhm.
Actually,
Mm.
we thought we were going to take on Salesforce because we hated the software, and we're like, we're going to implement AI into it in a way that,
Mm.
Salesforce is never going to be able to compete with it, blah, blah, blah. And then we built something and we tried to go sell it. And everybody and their dog in Japan didn't want anything to do with it. And so we were like, okay, maybe we need to pivot.
So the idea behind Gallows was first of all, how did the name, like, it's because you were like
Yeah.
you felt you were
It
like
was it was a walk on a particularly bad day after like just getting chewed out by our manager. Like we had
mm,
one guy between us and Chacho, and then the
mm,
Chacho like just absolutely demoralized us, right? Like terrible day. We were walking home, we're walking to the station together.
mm,
And it was about a 15-minute walk, and I said something. I was like, who the fuck do these guys think they are? I'm just like bitching like an American, like bitching,
mm, mm,
like these guys are idiots. They don't even know how to program. They don't even understand what fucking Python is. They don't
mm,
even get what, a website is. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're trying to do blah, and I'm just ranting. And I say something, and Alejandro is in like this kind of like drunken stress state. Like he hadn't drinking anything, but just like the pure
yeah.
emotional toll of everything that had been going on. And
Mm,
I say something, and I remember he just starts laughing hysterically, just laughing his ass off. And
mm,
and I start laughing with him. And he's like, you know what, Elder? You're pretty funny, man. And I was like, Alejandro, I'm not funny. It's just who else is gonna tell a better joke than the guy hanging in the gallows next to you, right? And that one line, right, that
yeah.
that I shared with him, we both laughed so much harder after that. We were like, oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah, we are in the gallows, aren't we? And so 3 months
Mm,
later, when we eventually decided to quit, right,
mm,
and we were like,
mm,
what do we call it? What do we do? And I was like, dude, I'm not creative. You're the creative one out of the two of us. You figure it out.
mm.
And I think he jokingly said, why not gallows? And I was like, wait a second. Actually, that's perfect. That's a perfect name for what we're doing. That's awesome. Yeah. And, and,
Weren't you
and
a
so we
bit
went with
kind
it.
of hesitant because might give the wrong impression, for a startup, for a company to be called Gallows?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, most names mean fucking nothing anyways. It's really just up to the company to brand it in a particular fashion. And what is marketing other than getting people's attention? You don't know any companies that are named Murder or Kill or Gallows or anything like
No,
that.
Murder Inc.
Um,
actually.
oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
part of it was like, it'll be successful. People think about it, right? And Japanese people won't even
True.
know what it means. They'll just think it sounds cool.
Man,
Garusu.
they have a team called Chiba Swallows or whatever. Like I swear, I was like, guys,
They do have that
like,
baseball team.
and they never thought of changing the whole name
They do.
until now.
They do have Chivas
It's like,
Swallows.
that team sucks. No, Swallows.
That's crazy, man.
Whatever. Sorry. Okay,
That's so funny.
let's
But
go back. Let's go back to the business. Actually. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. Okay.
it's your podcast, man. You do what
Yeah.
you want with it.
Yeah. So, okay, you created Gallows,
Yeah.
and
And
what direction did you guys take, and how did you realize, like, okay, this is not working, but we still have we're good friends. It's just like this business is not gonna work, so we're gonna walk our own paths.
I think from the beginning, because Alejandro has never been part of like a startup company, like
Mm-hmm.
like an American startup company. He'd only been
Oh.
part of like successful businesses, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think there were elements at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
that if we both were a little bit more experienced when it came to like founding business and all that sort of stuff, we would have seen it and been
Mm-hmm.
able to call it out as it was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I wanted to build, like a venture backable company, and he just wasn't interested in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we started off was we were going to build a software, that would compete with Salesforce, because we in that organization, the startup company that we were working, Japanese startup company, air quotes, they use Salesforce, and they used it really poorly, right? And it wasted
Mm-hmm.
a ton of time. And so, so we decided, that, we went and we tried to build it. We interviewed dozens, hundreds of people in sales positions and leadership roles, managers and stuff like that in Japan and in the US. And, we did everything right by the book. But then, there was too much execution risk. It was going to be too difficult to implement that sort of thing. And everybody and their dog was trying to do it. Um, so we ended up getting pretty depressed at that point. That was about like 2.5 months in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we pivoted. We both had just worked at this Japanese startup company and done a lot of like social media, right? Because again, we were the only white and Mexican guy, so we needed to be in all of the content for the business, for legitimacy purposes. So we learned a ton about what it was like to do that. And so we were like, okay, well, we don't have an idea or a problem that we want to solve anymore. So why don't we fall back to building like a brand together, and then, let's make it in the right idea space. So like a Japanese, content about Japan, and we can solve some problems for people once we've identified them as we're building out the content on YouTube and stuff like that. Because we were like, fuck it, let's gear ourselves towards action, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we built out, it's called Improvised Japan. You can look it up. You can find us on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, Instagram. We got like 3,000 followers on Instagram in like a month, like 3 videos with over like 1 million views in like a month, and we're like, fuck, okay, maybe we're cut out for this, and we became YouTubers, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
we knew that we were going to need like distribution, right? And the ability to market to people. We just didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what we were going to be marketing or what we were going to be distributing at that point in time. So
Okay.
we made content daily, and we did it in my shitty little tiny apartment, and like we
Mm-hmm.
could touch each other at all points in time, basically, with how tiny it is in here. Um, and then the holidays rolled around, and he took like, I guess, 3 weeks or so to go visit his family.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't been able to the whole time that he was working at that other company that didn't give him leave.
Yeah,
So
obviously, yeah.
yeah. And when he got back, we sat down and we were like, why the fuck are we YouTubers? We want to be entrepreneurs. Why aren't we solving a real problem right now? Like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, dude, yeah, why aren't, that's what I've been saying. Like, let's make an AI
Mm-hmm.
blogging tool, or an AI tool that helps people. And I was like, I saw some buzz in the blogging space, like SEO AI tool, because that was kind of all the rage at that time. And we were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Like we're clear. Let's make an AI blogging tool and help people in Japan rank in English for SEO and stuff. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we set up a company, we get ourselves sponsored, we get it funded. We've got 3 clients that we're working with, and we're automating all of their blog posts, and we're making money finally, right? And we were
Mm-hmm.
able to do it in a matter of like weeks, right? It was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god, things were working. And then in February, uh you know something, Alejandro's hand, right, started to hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out later, it was like pain that was stress manifested, right? So like he was stressed, so much so by like what maybe what I was forcing him to do with like trying to build a venture backable company, right? And like the
Oh,
passion that I was
okay.
bringing to it. I think, our mismatch, because I was so excited
I
about
see.
how productive we were, and so
Mm,
excited about the trajectory of the business. And I would show up every day and I was just happy, and at least on the surface, right, or outwardly. And he wasn't content with building a company like that, and
mhm,
he didn't know how to communicate it with me. I
mhm,
think part of him was scared to tell me that, right? Part of him didn't even realize it himself, and as a
mm,
result of that, it manifested in, like,
mm,
this pain in his hand, and so he couldn't work as effectively from there,
mhm,
and we ended up slowing down a bit, right? And we realized that we needed some help technically, so we went about trying to recruit another co-founder. And I
mhm,
think that was the beginning of the end, is when we tried to bring somebody else onto the duo. We wanted like a CTO.
mhm,
So we interviewed a ton of people, found this guy,
mm,
a wonderful guy. His name's Andrew. I'm co-founding with him right now, so he's part of my new venture.
mhm,
Um, and part of the recruitment process with Andrew was he really wanted to define the rules for everybody, so we understood how to operate within the team. And Alejandro and I had been operating as co-CEOs. And Andrew was like, "Do we need co-CEOs? That doesn't make any sense," And
yeah.
um, we had to have some really hard conversations, and Alejandro and I just didn't see eye to eye on them. I think he
Mm,
believed that he was a better CEO for certain qualification, for certain reasons,
mhm,
and I felt I was a better CEO. And I think the reason why we both were so stone, like set in stone on our convictions, are
mm,
we were both coming at it from different angles. I believed I was a better CEO to build the
mm,
type of business that I thought that we all wanted to build, which was a venture backable business.
mhm,
He thought he was the better CEO to build the type of business that maybe he didn't realize that he wanted to build, which was like, nothing wrong with it, a perfectly stable, like consultancy, or a company that gave him freedom, right?
mhm,
And gave him the
yeah.
ability to travel and financial security. That's what he wanted, right? He
Mhm,
didn't want the rat race. And
mhm,
so we didn't know this at the time, but we sat down, the three of us. We got, we got like small combini handles of whiskey and beer, and we were like, all
yeah.
right, today's the day, tonight's the night. We're gonna talk for however long it takes, and we're gonna figure out who's gonna be doing what in the business with love and compassion and openness. And
Mm,
I'm so proud to have been part of that team at that time, and to be a co-founder with Alejandro, because you know we had some like conversations that you know, you just don't get to have with people, right? Hard
mhm,
conversation, stuff that strikes all the way down to like the core of it.
yeah.
And
Mhm,
he showed up and he was vulnerable and he was there, and you know, genuine, right? And he
mhm,
enabled me to do that. And at the end of the night, we still didn't see eye to eye.
mm,
I think that was maybe like a tipping point for Alejandro. He ended up needing to take some time for himself
mhm,
after that.
mhm,
Um, you know, um, and he had been pitching like the business and stuff, and I didn't provide him the support as a co-founder that I should at the time, right? I
I
threw a
see.
lot of like, he went up there and represented the business, right,
Mm,
during a pitch competition that he applied for, that he had interviewed for, and
mm,
and honestly, one of my regrets, and I love him, he loves me. I think we're both still friends, right?
yeah, yeah.
And he's a brother to me to the day I die. But one of my regrets was that I wasn't supportive enough, and part
Mhm,
of that, like with him pitching, like he
I
went up
see.
there and he made a couple of mistakes, right,
Mhm,
or what I perceived to be mistakes, and I took like, I don't know, I took so much offense, to it, right?
mm, mhm,
Um, and my whole life was on the line for this business, and it felt like his life wasn't on the line for the business, and I ended up taking it out on him by saying, like, dude, you can't go up there and do stuff like that. Like, you can't not be prepared for their questions when they're asking you questions. If you're going to pitch, you can't tell them that you don't know the answer live on stage like that. You got to navigate, and right when he was enjoying, like, him actually accomplishing this thing, that he
mm,
never really thought that he was going to be able to do, I found myself tearing him down,
mhm,
and in that moment, I wasn't a good co-founder. I wasn't a good friend, right?
mm,
he needed to take 2 weeks from there, to deal with, I think, all of the mounting stress, that he'd been dealing with. And um, when he came back, we had a frank conversation where he's like,
Mm.
"Look, Elder, I don't want to build a venture backable company, right?
Mhm.
I've reflected on it. This just isn't the type of business that I want to build. This isn't for me."
You mentioned the word venture backed company. What is exactly that word? What does that phrase mean?
Yeah, yeah. That means like
For
getting
people who are not involved in this kind of business,
right,
like
right.
we,
Yeah,
we don't know what that means. So
yeah. Sorry
please
about that.
share.
Sorry about
No, please share.
that.
Yeah.
So venture backed basically just means that you've raised capital from like a venture capital company. So
Mm-hmm.
like a VC. There's different types of like investment that you can get as a the startup company.
Mm-hmm.
And venture backed just basically means that you've
You
got
get a
money
venture
from
capitalist to invest in your
yeah,
company
that's right.
in order to
That's
run
right.
your business.
That's right. Right. Or to scale it. Yeah.
Okay,
To grow it faster.
I
Right.
see. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So he he got back and we had that conversation, and I was like, okay, well, maybe we
Mm.
can make it work, right? Maybe you know, you can focus on building the small business and I can focus on because at this point we're both co-CEOs, right? Neither one
Yeah.
of us backed down. Neither
Mm.
of one of us wanted to be, like second fiddle, I think, to one another at that point.
Mm.
And poor Andrew was just like, come on, guys. Like, who's the CEO? Like, I just need to know who I need to listen to. I'm trying to build a product here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we ended up continuing to work together. That so it was probably in April, around the time when he took his break. I don't remember. And then we
Mm-hmm.
ended up working together for maybe another month or so. And he ended up going on like another big vacation, for
Mm-hmm.
like a month, where he got some time to go to Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and during that time, I think he got to heal a lot, and just reflect on what the last like couple of years of grinding his ass off was like,
Mm-hmm.
and what he had to show for it, and what was important to him in life. And when he got back, he's like, look, we all had another conversation when he got back, because me and Andrew were building the business at the time, working
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
stuff. And when he got back, he was just like, look, guys, I think I need to be done. Like, I think I need to be done with this partnership. I think I need to go at it solo. I think I need to try this myself. I want to build a small business. You guys just don't. You want to raise
Mm-hmm.
money. I don't want to raise money. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had like a quick 30-45 minute conversation in the middle of like August, in this hot as hell
Mm.
office, because they shut the AC off at 6 p.m. for no reason, to
Yeah.
to save money on the building.
Mm.
Um, and then we got burgers, and then from there we just weren't working together anymore. Like, that was
I
it.
see.
So
Um. But the great thing is that you like you mentioned, you're still friends, right? You just understood that you have different visions, and that
that's right.
there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, it took us about an hour, but we're now finally at your business. Right now. If I wanted, I thought that this is gonna be like a 5-10 minutes, conversation. Then we get to your business, but thank you for sharing all that information. Actually, that was very interesting to hear.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's great. No, don't apologize, because that's the whole point, honestly. Like,
Right.
from here on, actually, I think this is the part where you discuss your business, and hopefully, if someone hears the podcast and is interested, then you can actually pitch your business, or like this is where you shine. Basically, you shared the dark part, the difficult part.
Right.
Now
Right.
is your part to actually tell us about your passion. Tell us about this project that you're involved in right now, and what makes it so special for you.
Yeah. So right now we're launching Japan's first AI, like nearly fully augmented brokerage company
Yeah.
for leasing apartments in Japan, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
In Japan, there's a big problem of companies just not modernizing, right? The state of the affairs of software and internet out here it's like early 2000s, right? And at best practices are like 2014, out here right now.
Mm,
And so, Andrew, my current co-founder, and myself,
mm,
not Alejandro, we had
mm,
been working on products at Gallows to bring to market in
mm,
the real estate space, right?
mm,
We learned a lot about the industry, and it's just not set up to benefit the renters, right? Or the consumers, just the everyday people. It is
mm,
a system built for brokers, and by brokers, right? And we, as people who have rented, our whole lives, and as people, who
mm,
have been, burdened by renting and all that sort of stuff, but also just like seeing the lack of fucking innovation in this space, right,
mm,
just
mm,
pisses us off, right? So it's not necessarily specifically about like renting and all that, or not even about the real estate industry as much, but the fact that there isn't enough innovation, right, and that people are still wasting so many labor hours on manual processes that can be automated. um, you know, Andrew and I just had enough. We're
mhm,
like, okay, we know enough about this industry now. We brought a
mm,
couple of different products to bear in this space before, and so
mm,
that's why we're innovating in the real estate
mm.
space, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
So, what does the software? Can you talk about it? Can you
Yeah,
tell us exactly what does the software do?
yeah. So from basically start to finish,
Mm,
from like property like searching,
mm,
to leasing, your like contract in hand, keys in hand. We have like an AI assist, like an AI workflow process that takes care of the entire thing for you, right? So, if you're a customer, this is a brokerage company. It's not necessarily like SaaS or anything like that,
mm,
but what uh, what happens is we get property data
mhm,
procedurally, right, automatically, and have like a
mm.
real-time property listing site, something that doesn't exist in Japan right now. Sumo, My Homes,
Live
Lifehold, all of these
house.
other,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, these property listing sites get their listings directly from brokers, and brokers are humans, right?
Yeah.
And if you've ever rented before or searched for properties in Japan, and if you ever do, to those
Mm,
of you out there listening, there is what I like to call zombie listings. Like these are like fake posts, right? Or posts of really good apartments
mm,
or properties that brokers will pay to have like listed on Sumo or one of these listing properties, specifically just to get you to inquire to their brokerage so they can sell you on a different property. And it wastes the consumer's time.
That's a
And
thing.
yeah, oh, yes, yes. 80% of all renters in Japan will inquire for a zombie listing.
80%.
80%. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that an
Fake
official
listings,
number?
yes. Fake listings are so bad that the government has had to institute, and even they've instituted multiple layers of legislation to try and address the problem in the industry over the years. The most
Mm,
recent one is that
mm,
they've instituted, or they've legislated, like that they can almost shut down your business as of January 2025 this year. That's how bad fake listings have gotten. The
I didn't
government
think.
needs the ability, yeah, yeah, to
Damn.
shut down people's, because brokers are wasting renters' time, right? And they're misrepresenting
Mm,
property information, you know, of what is most important for humans to live:
mm,
food, water, shelter, right? And
yeah.
and they're attacking one of those most critical resources for people in
Mm,
their operations, and it's just something that, Japanese people don't deserve to be treated that way. With the technology that they have available to them, the
mhm.
consumer should have a better experience, right?
I
So
see.
what we
And
do is we have like, property data automatically on the website, real time, not fake listings. You can inquire for it.
I was just wondering, like, your site is live right now, right? Like, people can actually.
It's only been the last 2 months, right? So it will be live probably by the time that this podcast hits the air, depending on how quickly you get it out. But as of
Mm,
right now, when we're recording, no,
mm,
it's not currently live. It's only in demo. So
in demo mode. And
yeah,
when do you expect to have it live? And you
next
said
couple of days, baby.
you said, oh, nice. So you said
Yeah.
the demographic that you're targeting are like young people in their 20s, right?
20 to 29-year-old Japanese people looking for an apartment in Tokyo. That's right.
Why this demographic though?
They're the largest demographic in this space. There are 4.9 million rental properties in Tokyo. Of them, about 28% are currently being rented by people 20 to 29 years old. And so that's roughly about 1 million people or so, right?
I see.
Who fit into that demographic. And all of those people use social media. And so we can market to them, disproportionately well in comparison to people in their 30s, 40s. And we only have to stick to 2 or 3 channels on social media to get at these people. Instagram, X, and YouTube. Whereas if we wanted to get at maybe an older generation, we might need to deal with Facebook, and Facebook's a mess at scaling social media content on.
Man, yeah.
And then if we want to go any older than that, it's back to paper flyers in Japan. So I'd prefer to avoid that.
Yeah. No, they really believe in the flyers thing. They do. They do. And
They do.
It's insane, but I work for a dental company too, right?
Right.
And they still print stuff heavily. Heavily.
Yep.
I don't know. I think the US and Europe may have moved past these prints. Everything is digitalized. Even conferences, you can see like posters have moved to being digitalized. So you don't have to print posters. You give them a PDF basically, or PowerPoint or whatever,
Right.
the slide, and it's just, shown on the screen.
Yep.
But here, no, they still swear by prints, I guess. But yeah. So regarding your company, how do you see it growing in the next not few months, few years, and how do you see, what are the next steps that you're going to take to ensure that it stays successful?
Yeah, so I'm part of an investment program right now, where at the end of the program we're going to get investment, right? So the next couple of steps are pretty clear. I need to get a couple more. We're going to get a couple more like brokers, on board with, like we need people with licenses, like Takenshi licenses, to help us out with conducting brokerage activity in Japan. We've got 2 now, and one today agreed to maybe be our broker, for the business, right? Which is awesome, like big milestone for us today.
Congratulations.
So
Congratulations.
need to secure this investment. Need to open up the business entity, get all of the necessary licenses for it to be official, right? We can help renters right now. We just can't make money from it. And so we're going to help renters right now. We just won't make money from it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing.
And how you're going to monetize it? Like, how are you going to monetize the process?
It'll be brokerage. It'll be
through
so
brokerage.
we've got
you get brokerage
it'll
fee.
be an AI empowered brokerage fee. So we believe that just about 90% of the entire kind of like existing workflow can either be like deleted or automated using AI right now today.
90%.
That's right. And
can you explain that to me? How come 90%? Like that's a big number.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it's equal parts just how backwards current modern brokerage is and how not with the times it is. And that's why we're not selling to brokers. That's why we're not bringing the tech to brokers themselves, because these are people who have been shaped by, business practices by the 90s, in the 90s. Like the owners and operators of these brokerage companies, were in their 30s in the 90s, in their 20s. They were young working professionals at that point in time. And they've maintained the standard of technology with that decade. And they don't adopt technology. Only 20% of brokers in Japan have adopted any form of automation at all, right? And so that's why we can automate 90% of it, is because, one, the adoption rate of technology is just already so low in this space that they're not abiding by best practices, period. We can delete half of what they do with tech right now. And then the other 50% that's remaining.
Can you tell me any examples, like what kind of processes that you're getting rid of, for example?
Yeah, so if you were to go through the traditional path to find an apartment in Japan, one you're gonna land on Sumo, right? And
Yeah.
this is a property listing site. There are a ton of problems with the way that Sumo works. We won't
Mm.
get into that, but we're gonna solve a lot of those problems ourselves.
Mhm.
Let's just say you're the consumer. You are gonna inquire after 4 properties on average off of one session in Sumo. It's
Mhm.
gonna take you 1 to 2 hours maybe, right, to do all
Yeah.
the searching.
Yeah.
And then what's going to end up happening is you're going to land in 3 to 4 different brokers' inboxes. Maybe a lot more if you're aggressively trying to find an apartment. Maybe like 10.
Uh-huh.
All 10 of those brokers, out of 10 of those brokers, 2 of them will send you an automatic response, probably, right?
Yeah.
That'll just say, hey, we've received your inquiry. Wait for one of our agents to get back to you. That's all that the automatic response is, just an acknowledgement,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And then out of these 4 to 10 brokers that you've landed in the inbox of,
Mm.
they will all spam the ever loving Christ out of you through phone calls, emails. 3 of them will tell you that the property that you inquired after, assuming that you're aggressively finding an apartment and you applied for 10, just
Mm.
to make the numbers easier for me.
Yeah.
3 of them will tell you that the apartment that you applied for has already been taken, a zombie listing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
2 of them, the apartment is still available, but and they'll set up a time for you to go view it. But by the time that you view it, somebody will have already applied for it. Tokyo
Mhm.
is at a saturation point in the market.
Mhm.
So practically of your initial 10 applications, 5 of them aren't going to be available to you in reality, 50%. Right?
I see.
Of the other 5, and so what's going to happen is you're going to end up, the 3 brokers that rejected you outright are
Mm.
going to route you to 20 different options that they represent, and they're going to try to get you to schedule a booking with them
Mm.
on all of those 20. So you got 60 new options with these brokers, and they're going to
Mm.
call you and
Mm.
email you daily. Then the other 2 brokers, maybe you end up scheduling a meeting with them, like the other 7, I guess, because their properties are still available.
Mhm.
You might go with 2 or 3 of them out
Mm.
of the 7, the ones that respond quickest to you. Of those 2 or 3, you might see a couple of properties. Maybe one schedules 4 properties with you, and another one has a property that you really like. You'll see a couple. This whole process, what I'm just described to you right now, is the nightmare that renters have to go through in finding an apartment in Japan.
Mhm.
Um, and they haven't even applied for an apartment yet. They haven't even booked or like gone and seen anything.
Yeah.
And it's taken on average anywhere from 2 to 5 days for
Mm.
all of this to unfold for them to actually schedule apartment bookings, like viewings of an
Mhm.
apartment,
Mm.
right? So once you've scheduled a viewing for an apartment, you'll go to the apartment. The broker is trying to be rid of you as quickly as humanly possible, because every additional minute that they're spent there talking with you or chatting with you that you don't close on the property is wasted money out of their pocket, right?
Mm.
Um, and so you'll see a ton of these properties.
Mm.
You'll think about it a little bit. You'll think about whether or not you can apply to any of them. The
Mm.
brokers will be pressuring you the whole time to apply, apply, apply. And then by the time that you've taken a reasonable amount of time to consider, all of the properties have been taken. You have to go through the whole process all over again, basically, right? And you have to cycle through it
That's
and
a
all
nightmare.
of that sort of stuff. Yeah. And so
Mm.
part of this, and let's say that you do get lucky, and this does happen. These, the solutions aren't broken for everybody. They
Mm.
just are broken,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
A broken clock, tells the time right twice a day,
Mhm.
right? Even a broken clock can do that. So
Yeah.
there's some people who can get an apartment within a week.
Mhm.
So let's say that you're a lucky one. You apply for an apartment. It's still available. Your schedule aligns with the broker schedule and the property viewing schedule. Everything is perfect, right? You book to go view it. Await. Your broker is only available to go view the property during work hours. You have a job, so the only day available for you to go view the property is on Saturday. You have to take time away from your kids and relaxing to go view a property. You go view it. You'll apply for the property. And I mean, this is a black box, so I can't tell you a specific number, but
Mm.
you have a random chance of getting just rejected for no reason from the apartment application.
And this is
Right.
for the Japanese applicants, right? This is not even
This
talking
is right.
about internationals and internationals who get rejected just for being not Japanese, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. This is yeah, yeah. And they don't have to tell you why. The landlords, the
Mm,
management company, they don't legally have to tell you why, right? I mean, depending on,
mm,
where you're at in the application process.
mm,
And it can be for any benign reason. There are really, really strong protections. And the reason why it's like this is there's really strong protections against getting renters kicked out in Japan. It's
mhm,
very difficult,
mm,
in all practical, unless a renter stops paying,
mm.
it's really hard for Japanese landlord to get them removed from the property. So landlords are
Even if
very
the
picky.
contract ends.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, go look at your contract. It's
Mm.
illegal for them to kick you out. They have to renew it.
So my management company just a few months ago sent me a contract, like a notice that they want to increase the rent,
Yep,
and
you can
and
fight it.
and I was like, I'm not gonna pay all of this, like, because they really hiked it a lot, and I was like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna pay all of that. So, anyways, we kept going back and forth for a long time, and then
Hmm.
they said, "Look, our final offer is doing this, or then you just gonna have to basically move out or whatever." And I was not gonna move out, so I just the money also was not that, like, we reached a reasonable amount of money. But
Right.
the funniest thing was I didn't even finish my 2 year contract. Like we barely finished the first year contract, the first year of
Yep.
the contract. I was
Yep.
like, this doesn't feel like a fair game, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's I don't know, like they changed the management company, and now I guess they're trying to make things work for them, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that a normal thing with other like management companies and
Highly, yeah, it happens frequently. It's a problem that is on like the distant horizon for us.
Mhm,
Obviously, we're a brokerage in and of ourselves, so and
mhm,
and we'll get into property management and all that, but
mm,
part of what it'll take for us to make money is to increase rent on people maybe sometimes.
mhm,
But I do believe, and so that's where it gets a little weird, and I haven't thought about it because I'm not thinking about property management at all.
mm,
But if I'm right,
mm,
something about it, because it does happen a lot, right? My co-founder Andrew has had
mm,
it happen to him,
mm,
and I told him to threaten suing them, go to an attorney, and
mm.
they fully backed down, 100%, right? So they tried to increase it, and I was like, no, fuck that. Tell them that you're gonna go sue them for abusing, whatever rights that you have as a renter, and he sent that bluff, and they were like, okay, sorry, basically, right? So I don't know enough about the law, and I'm not an attorney, so please, seek and do your
No,
own
I
due
mean,
diligence
I
from legal perspective.
already, I already agreed, honestly, because
Right. Without you agreeing, I think they weren't able to legally charge you more. Is the problem with Japanese people, right? Once you agree, once the money gets sent over, or once you sign the new contract or something, then it becomes a problem from there. But they can't kick you out, right? It's just not possible.
I mean, I was just asking because you have experience in that, but I was like, fine. Like the increase was not that much even, so I was like,
Yeah,
fine,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
yeah, but man, like I don't know. Is there anything that you want to share about the company? Because I think we've been, yeah,
This
I took so much from your time today. So
No, no, it's all
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I was the one who took a lot of time, to be fair. Like
No,
I could have told the story quicker. I
no,
didn't
no, no,
because
no.
I was having fun.
Actually, the information that you shared was, that's the whole point of the podcast.
Right.
Actually, things that
Right, right,
can
right.
go wrong, and what can
Yeah.
you do to fix them? Because everyone can talk about how great they are or how amazing their business is going, but not so many people will tell you about the pits and falls that they have to go through in order to reach this stage of your business, right?
Right. Right. Well, I guess if I had to leave anybody, and I'm still a young man, right? I'm only 25, right? So
Mm.
I've got a long ways to go and a lot to learn still, right?
But
But
you're
luckily enough,
doing
I was
great already, though.
well, I appreciate it. Luckily enough, I was born with the name Elder, so I do feel that
That's what I
moniker
was gonna
has.
say. Like, you must have heard this joke a ton of times, but you look very young for someone to be called elder.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe because of the name, I have maybe some wisdom. Um, this isn't an original thing to say or anything. Like my final thoughts here.
Mm,
Um, anything that you're looking to do in life, you just have to remember that it's going to end one day, right?
Mm.
And it's important to keep that in mind, that our time is finite, and it's a resource that we should all cherish. And failure in life should be cherished because it's a lived experience and you never get to do it again, right?
Mm.
And what's more than that is nothing feels better than getting knocked down and getting back up again and seeing the world shake a little bit because you just won't stay down. So if you want to do anything hard in
Great.
life, take the fucking punches, stand the fuck back up, and take pride in the fact that you're living the life that you've got. And that's all there is to
That's
it.
very nice. That's one of the best closing, words that I've had on this podcast, honestly, because yeah, life is all about taking those punches and then moving on, learning how to, manage your way through all of these things that life throws at you, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you very much, Elder. This was a great conversation. Appreciate you very much for making the time.
Of course. Thank you so much, Akram. And
Nice.
let me know if there's anything else I could do to help out. And if there's anybody out there who wants to reach out to me, Elder Ripper, you can find me on LinkedIn.
I'll link your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And
That's perfect.
I don't know if your website is online by the time this episode is out. I'll link that too in the description. Yeah. Thank you very much, Elder. See you the next time.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Bye.